Hello there. Welcome back to Jennie Designs with Paper. Thank you for stopping by my channel today on World Card Making Day. So get comfy. Let's get crafty. For today, I'm going to be using this Recollections pattern paper pad. It is a 6x6 pad called Cottage Christmas. It is from this year, 2023. I picked it up last week. I'm going to make 6 cards with just pattern paper and card sketches. No stamps, no inks, no dies. The first card is going to be this sketch. They are all paper play sketches. I got them on Pinterest. They're probably old, but it's okay. Old sketches are still good sketches. The first card uses 4 pattern papers and one of the cut-aparts from this pad of paper. The background is a green, mostly neutral pattern. It looks a little bit like a sweater pattern. I'm using a craft card base. I have 3 other pieces of pattern paper that I am cutting rectangles out of that are about 2 by 3 inches, which is the same size as all of the cut-aparts that came in this pad of paper. I am also going to be cutting out some little rectangles of craft cardstock that are just slightly larger than our other rectangles. I think they ended up being like 2 1/8 by 3 1/8 inches. To make mats for the little pieces of paper, rectangle pieces of paper that we cut apart, as well as the focal image on our card. So once I get those all trimmed out, we're going to go ahead and adhere them together with double-sided adhesive. I'm going to have a huge jump ahead here in a minute because I didn't hear my camera beeping at me that my card was full, and so you're going to miss a little bit. But right now I'm just putting all of the rectangles onto their mat so that I can assemble them on the card front as indicated in the sketch. The sketch had 3 rectangles and a circle focal point. I'm not using a circle. That's okay. Card sketches are jumping off points. You don't have to follow them exactly. Also, in all of my cards, I'm going to be adding a piece of white copy paper. That white copy paper gives me someplace to write or stamp a Christmas message on. Card number 2, sketch number 2. Super simple. We are going to start with a dark brown card base and a plaid pattern paper. This mat will be cut to just smaller than the card front, so 4 by 5 1/4 inches. I will also be using a little strip of music paper and one of the other cut-aparts from the cut-apart sheet in this paper pad. I'm also going to be matting the music paper and the cut-apart on some dark brown cardstock. All of these card sketches are quite simple, and you can interpret them as strictly or as loosely as you want, and you can even make them more extravagant if you want to. But I was going for simple and easy today. I wanted to use just pattern paper, no stamps, no dies, no inks, no nothing, because not everybody has all of the things that I have in my craft room. And that's legit. I didn't always have all of the things I have in my craft room. Sorry, words are hard today. My throat is dry. I'm trying not to cough. I have paused already about a dozen times just to not cough into the microphone. I'm also using 3M foam tape to bump up all of the focal images or sentiment pieces on our cards today. Because the cards are simple, that just adds a little bit of extra emphasis, but it also makes sure that the card layers are flat. Or even, I guess flat's not the right word, the same level. So I'm going to stick that music paper just across the front of the card like a little belt. And I'm going to use my tweezers. And I'm going to offset the cut apart. And then after we put the copy paper in, we have finished with card number 2. Sketch number 3 is a little bit the same, a little bit different. I won't be using that twine at the bottom. I don't use a lot of twine or ribbon on my cards. I do have a dark green card base and a piece of pattern paper with Santas on it because, of course, there has to be a Santa paper. I'm going to take one piece of pattern paper, a little rectangle, again, it's about 2 by 3 inches, and another of the cut-aparts, and mat them also on that dark green cardstock Sorry, words are hard. And then put them together kind of offset on the front of the card as indicated in this sketch. This one was hard for me not to dress up. I wanted to add like gold foil washi tape or some sequins or something. But again, going back to just using the pad of paper, I have to stick to it. I made a commitment to use just this one pad of paper. I got to do it. I am getting better at making little tiny trims with my mini guillotine trimmer, so that's making me happy. I don't always do math right in my head. So here I'm just offsetting those little rectangles on the front of the card. I think I like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and adhere the back one on with double-sided adhesive and the top one on with foam tape. Because all of these cards are using the same pad of paper and they are all using similar style card sketches, like they all have mats on their layers, I could actually give these cards away as a set. So that's a cool thing about using one pad of paper, is it all coordinates together and it makes a nice complete set. So once we get our copy paper liner inside, we will be ready to move on to card number 4 already. So I intended to use this sketch. However, the cut apart did not work with the angle, cutting the angle into the paper, so I did not. I just made it a straight rectangle instead of the kind of skiwampus. I don't know what to call that. I didn't make it look like a K. So I have a brown cardstock base, a green music sheet patterned paper. There we go. And another of that red pattern paper that looks a little bit like sweater. I am matting everything in the dark brown cardstock. And if this cut apart did not have the words "all is calm" on the bottom, I could have turned it horizontal and stuck it in the, made the strip of pattern paper, the red paper, look like a K and kind of wedged it in there like the sketch did. But I couldn't figure out, and I played with it and played with it and played with it. And I contemplated finding a different sketch, but I decided this is just another example of how to take a sketch and make it work for you. Again, your sketch is a jumping off point. It is not the end all be all, unless you want it to be. If you want your sketch to be your card to be exactly like the sketch, that is wonderful. I do that a lot when I need inspiration, when I'm feeling a little bit lethargic about my crafting. So instead of having that red piece of paper shaped like a K, that's the only thing I could think to call it, I'm just going to add it a straight rectangle and pop up the cut apart with some foam tape. And that's it. I mean, they're simple cards. They really are simple cards. But this pattern paper is so pretty that they're pretty. They're pretty cards. I like how they turned out. I contemplated even going back with a glitter pen, like a Wink of Stella or some stickles, and adding a little bit of extra bling, but I haven't. Okay, card number 5. There's my card sketch. We're starting with a red card base and a red pattern paper. We'll cut that paper mat, and then we're going to cut the horizontal piece of pattern paper out of a wood grain, which is actually on the back of that red pattern paper, or the red plaid. This is a very simple card sketch because I did not add the little curly Q to the bottom of the second layer. I almost did, but again, I'm not using punches, I'm not using dies, I'm only using pattern paper. So I've mounted all of my pieces, or matted all of my pieces with some more red cardstock. I have a little bin on my desk that holds my cardstock scraps sorted by color. So I just have to dig through that and find the right color that I need. I'm going to go ahead and put our plaid piece down on our card panel. And it's a little off kilter. I'll admit it, it's not completely centered. I just went with it. Also, I bad mathed, and my horizontal piece isn't quite as long as the front card front. Also, it's okay. It is handmade. It is not store-bought. It is not meant to be perfect. It is meant to be creative and artistic and bring somebody joy. Even if the only person it brings joy is me, the person who made it. That's okay. That's legitimate. Not everybody you give a card to is going to think it is the best thing since sliced bread. They should, but they might not. All right, so we are finished with card number 5. We're moving on to card number 6. And our 6th card sketch, we are starting with a green card base. And we are using 4 different pattern papers. So we have this kind of hollyberry or pine branch background. And then we have a diagonal stripe that we're going to make one of our layers with. We have that, again, that red sweater pattern paper. And then we have our cut apart. All of our extra pieces are going to be our extra pieces. All of our card layers are going to be backed with extra pieces or scrap pieces of that green cardstock and adhered together with double-sided adhesive. I kind of stopped measuring and just started putting my pattern paper onto my cardstock and cutting. The mats aren't quite as symmetrical that way, but I was done mathing. Math and I were not best friends. Let's just put it that way. We're not best friends. I did have to trim down my red sweater paper a little bit because the scrap I had left over was slightly narrower, and I did not want to cut apart another piece of green pattern or green cardstock. So it's all good. Again, we're going to put that card panel. I cannot think of words, y'all. Oh my gosh. The card panel down first. Then we're going to add our first layer, which is that diagonal stripe. Then we're going to add our sweater paper and our cut apart. I know it's hard to see the texture in that red pattern paper, but it does look like a cable knit sweater in real life. But this is like coming up on the end of card number 6. Now, I will say that this video is in double speed. I don't really work this fast. I didn't do a ton of planning ahead of time other than finding the card sketches I wanted to use and then picking which pattern papers were going to go with which cut apart. And then I just kind of put them in a stack and opened up the sketches and went for it. But it was a fun craft day. It's not a long video, but you know, it was still fun. Here we're going to do a quick drive-by of all of the cards so you can see a hopefully better image of the cards as we get through all 6 of them. I hope you have a minute to sit down on World Card Making Day and make a card. Even if you don't give it away, make a card. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I have a couple of other videos here I think you will like. I also have a subscribe button. If you have not subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you did. Leave me a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, and have a really fabulous crafty kind of day.